Napoleon wasn't short. He was actually average height. And the short emperor myth was British propaganda to make him look weak. Before we continue, would you mind liking this video and subscribing to our channel? Now, let's discover how one of history's greatest lies became accepted fact. For over 200 years, people have mocked Napoleon Bonaparte as a tiny dictator with a short man complex who compensated for his height by conquering Europe. This image is so powerful that psychologists even named Napoleon Complex after him. But here's the shocking truth. Napoleon was 5 feet 7 inches tall, which was actually above average height for French men in the early 1800s. The average Frenchman was only 5 feet 5 inches. The confusion started because France and Britain used different measurement systems. When Napoleon's height was reported as 5'2" in French measurements, British newspapers converted it incorrectly and spread the short Napoleon propaganda. But here's the brilliant part of the British lie. They deliberately made Napoleon seem short to undermine his military genius. If he was just a tiny, angry man, his victories seemed less impressive. British political cartoons savagely mocked Napoleon as a dwarf who could barely reach his own horse. These cartoons were so popular and widespread that they created a false historical memory that persists today. The most ironic fact? Napoleon was taller than the average British soldier of his era. British troops averaged 5'6", making Napoleon taller than most of the men he fought against. Napoleon's Imperial Guard, the elite troops who surrounded him, were all over 6 feet tall. Standing next to these giants made Napoleon appear smaller in paintings and descriptions, reinforcing the short myth. French records and autopsy reports after his death in 1821 consistently list his height as 5'7". Multiple doctors measured his body, and all recorded the same height, perfectly average for the time. The short Napoleon lie worked so well that even Napoleon's enemies admitted he had a commanding physical presence in person. Witnesses described him as intimidating and powerful, not small or weak. Here's the sad part. Napoleon's actual military genius and revolutionary reforms get overshadowed by a height joke that isn't even true. He transformed Europe's legal systems, education, and government structure. The Napoleonic Code he created still influences law in over 70 countries today. But most people just remember the false short emperor story instead of his massive historical impact. Modern historians have completely debunked the short Napoleon myth, but popular culture refuses to let it die. Movies and jokes continue perpetuating British propaganda from 200 years ago. The British propaganda campaign was so successful that it literally rewrote history and created a psychological disorder named after a man who wasn't even short. That's your historical propaganda knowledge bomb. If this revealed how one lie became accepted truth, smash that like button. Subscribe to 3 Min Knowledge for more myths that fooled the entire world.